Some cops try to intimidate and bully ordinary citizens, believing they can push them around, regardless of their social status or position. But what happens when these officers meet high-ranking individuals who aren't afraid to put them in their place and can do so with just a few words? Let's take a look at 4 instances where arrogant cops tried to mess with military veterans, only to find out they weren't dealing with someone they could easily intimidate. Take this case, for example, where a cop pulls over a woman driving behind her sister, who's on her way to her new home. It's just a routine stop, or so the officer thought. But when the officer tries to push the woman around, he has no idea that the person he's dealing with is a Purple Heart combat veteran. Here's what went down. "Why am I being pulled over, officers?" the woman asks. "What's going on here?" The officer doesn't respond immediately, but demands her to remain quiet while he checks her paperwork. Meanwhile, the woman's sister, also a veteran, pulls over to make sure everything is all right. She's just a few feet ahead, waiting in her car to ensure her sister is okay. But the officer immediately gets hostile. "She can't be parked here," he demands. "She's got to leave." The sister tries to explain calmly, "She's just waiting for me. I'm following her to her new place, and I wanted to make sure she's okay after she got pulled over. There's no harm in this." But the officer insists, trying to force her to move. He orders her to leave, even though there's no legal reason for it. "She can't park anywhere near my traffic stop," the officer insists, dismissing her explanation. But here's the twist. This officer didn't realize who he was dealing with. The woman, as it turns out, is a Purple Heart recipient, and she's served her country with honor. And while the officer kept pushing, the woman stood firm. "No, I'm not moving," she said, standing her ground. "I'm not obstructing anything. I'm just making sure my sister is safe." The officer, still not grasping the situation, demands she leave. "Why are you telling me to leave?" she asks, a sense of calm but firm authority in her voice. "What law am I breaking? What's the issue here?" The officer, unable to answer her questions, tries to intimidate her further. But the more he pressures her, the more he reveals his own lack of professionalism. The situation escalates when the officer insists that she must leave the area immediately, telling her that it's unsafe for her to remain there. The veteran, in turn, asks him, "What makes it unsafe?" "I'm not obstructing anything. I'm just waiting for my sister." The officer, frustrated, continues to demand that she move, but the woman remains calm, reminding him that she's following the law and that her presence is not interfering with anything. "I'm just waiting, that's all," she insists. The officer, still not understanding that he's dealing with a person who knows her rights and won't be bullied, tries to escalate the situation by saying, "You need to leave or else," but it's clear at this point that the officer is just trying to assert power where he doesn't have it. The veteran, standing her ground, responds with quiet confidence, knowing that she's in the right. This was an intense moment where the arrogance of the cop collided with the resolve of someone who had served her country. The officer may have been trying to exert control over the situation, but he quickly learned that not everyone is intimidated by a badge, especially when they've been through far worse. "Why am I being detained?" the woman asks, her voice steady but firm. "You want my ID, but what law am I breaking?" she demands, standing her ground. The officer, trying to exert control, responds, "You're not giving me your ID, and now you're obstructing this traffic stop. If you refuse, we'll go sit in my car." The woman responds calmly, "But I'm not breaking any law by staying here. I'm not impeding anything." The officer insists, "You're interfering. You need to leave." She remains composed. "I'm not interfering," she counters. "I'm parked on the side of the road. I'm not obstructing anyone, and you still haven't told me why I need to move." The officer then raises his voice, demanding, "I need your ID. You're causing trouble here." But the woman doesn't back down. "What trouble? I'm just waiting here for my sister. She's a few feet away, and I'm making sure she's okay," she explains. "This has nothing to do with you." But the officer insists, "It doesn't matter. You can't park here. You need to go." She firmly replies, "I'm not leaving unless you can give me a real reason." Frustrated, the officer demands she get out of the car. "You need to leave, or I'll help you out," he threatens. "No, you can't make me get out," she says, her voice unwavering. I'll call your sergeant if I have to. You're not handling this properly. The officer grows hostile. You need to leave now, or I'll handle this differently, he warns. But the woman stands firm. I'm not breaking any laws here. You're the one escalating this for no reason. She maintains her calm demeanor, reminding the officer, I'm not interfering with your stop, and I have every right to be here. The officer gets more aggressive. You're impeding my traffic stop. I need your ID. The woman answers back, I'm not impeding anything. You've just decided to make this difficult for no reason. She then adds, I'll comply with your request, but you're not handling this the right way at all. After much back and forth, the officer, unable to provide any legal reason for his actions, becomes more frustrated. I'm done with you, he yells as he slams her car door in anger. But the woman isn't fazed. You can be as angry as you want, but I'm not in the wrong here. You can't just push people around. The situation continues, with the officer trying to justify his actions by claiming, you're interfering with my investigation. If you stay here, I have to identify you. The woman, still composed, responds, how am I interfering? You don't even know me. I'm just trying to make sure my sister is okay. The officer continues to argue, but the woman remains calm, even offering him the chance to call his supervisor. I'd like your badge number, please, she asks, her voice polite but firm. I'll be filing a complaint. This isn't how a police officer should behave. In the end, the officer fails to give a reasonable explanation for his actions. After escalating the situation, both Miss Shell and her sisters stand their ground. Despite the officer's threats and aggressive behavior, no arrests were made. The officer and his colleague, however, were held accountable for their actions. They were required to undergo extensive retraining, including completing 4 40-hour courses to improve their professional conduct and understanding of the law. Other training exercises, but the humbling za received is nothing compared to the passionate lashing this veteran gave out. Everybody's ready to smash my stuff and take it. I'm asking you again, have you spread asphalt waste? Have you spread asphalt waste on Moose? Have you spread asphalt waste on Moose Mountain? You going to let me answer the question I've been waiting for years? Yes, answer the question. Never let me speak. Are you lying? Bast, you called the police when I went to the highway department to ask you about it. You lied. You sat there in court while they lied about it. Can't even talk. You don't just answer yes or no. How hard is it for you? Yes or no. Answer it is. Have you spat asphalt waste on Moose Mountain? It's not asphalt waste, it's recycled asphalt. It's asphalt waste. Is it new asphalt? Is it ground asphalt? In November of 2015, a man called David Vincelette had had enough. He had been complaining that an organization called the Town of Hover had been dumping asphalt waste in his water supply. No one listened to him, so it was no surprise that when he found the workers of the organization led by Public Works Director Peter Kabaki outside his house, he decided to confront them head-on. What's under your feet? What's under your feet? Hello, you have to answer questions. Question. No, we do not put waste. It's a recycled product. It's a salt ground up asphalt. It's a ground up asphalt. It's a recycled product. It's allowed by law. And did you sit court while the town attorney stated it was never spread upstream for my drinking water? The question. Yes, you did. You're lying to me. Do I speak anymore, or do I say you have to tell the truth? I'm done talking with you, David. We've already answered this question. You just answered the question on tape for Cat V Studios. Okay, but you have no me. You have no really. Well, I did really. Okay, you need to move your TRCK. You need to go truck. You need to go to jail. Move your truck. You've add your stuff out the right way. You have no. You've just admitted federal crimes. Yes, you have. You admitted perjury, and you've done federal crimes. Yes, it is you. You have asphalt waste that's being held in violation of state and federal law with paint and other materials, as was, and you have, and the town manager has already testified it's recycled asphalt. It's allowed by EPA. The number 16 not record is not allowed. It is not allowed to interstate waters. It's not allowed to be put in They're on purpose short. Oh, oh, by accident. It's okay. No, it is not. It's a crime. It's a crime. It has nothing to do with me, has to do with you. You have lied and dissembled for years. You have lied and dissembled for years, and it's going to come back on you. They got little tiny orange jumpsuits, buddy. Trust me or threaten me with prison. Now no. Oh, you just did first. You admitted you lied in court. You've admitted. The town attorney, please move your try. I'm not going anywhere if, and remove the vehicle so we can get down. And that cleaning up. Listen to me. I am a federal officer required to uphold the Constitution. Refus, you have just admitted federal crimes under state law. I have an obligation to enforce the law against the town. Answer the question. You're refusing to move your vehicle. Is that correct? You have no authority over me. Are you? You work for me. You have. Yes, you do. Yes, and I part of the public refusing to move your vehicle. I am doing what the law requires. I have an obligation, David. I have an obligation under state law not to let a town do illegal activity. You have just admitted to me that you committed a federal crime and state crime, us to remove your vehicle. I'm asking the question. You work for me. Yes, you work for me. You're in the right away. Are you refusing move your vehicle? I am allowed you under the or. I am allowed, not allowed to block. I am allowed at any time for any reason. You're a taxpayer. I allowed at any time. I got money sitting over there. You want to waste tax money sitting here waiting for you to answer the question. Should I send them away because you're going to not move? You should send them away because they're being involved in federal crime. You're not going to move? I have an obligation under state law. You're going to have to move. The officer demands, but David is not having it. He responds firmly, I'm not going anywhere until you can give me a legitimate reason to move. The officer is visibly frustrated but insists, if you don't move, I'll have to make you leave. Despite the officer's demands, David stays put, not backing down. David, in the end, was forced to leave the scene, but not before making sure to speak his mind. He gave the officers a piece of his thoughts, clearly standing up for his rights. But this wasn't the end of the story. 2 years later, a similar incident occurred. David found himself arrested for contempt of court, and tragically, he ended up in the hospital following his arrest. But if you think that veterans putting aggressive cops in their place ends there, think again. It only escalates from here. The confrontation continues with another instance where a police officer, Pattis, pulls over a veteran identified as Aaron. The officer approaches the car and demands, can you please roll down your window? I need to talk to you. Aaron, calm and composed, responds, no, I'm not rolling down my window any further. The officer presses, I need to identify you. To this, Aaron firmly replies, no, you don't. I have rights as an American citizen. The officer, trying to assert his authority, says, I'm Officer Pattis with the Grand Junction Police Department. I need you to identify yourself. But Aaron, undeterred, retorts, no, that's not how it works. You have to have a reason to suspect me of committing a crime in order to demand my ID. The officer, attempting to justify his actions, states, we're investigating a homicide. We think you might be involved. But Aaron, maintaining his calm, challenges the officer. What evidence do you have? What's the description of the suspect or the vehicle? You don't have anything solid. You're just going on assumptions based on my car being similar to a description of the suspect's vehicle. The officer continues to push. You're obstructing my investigation. If you don't cooperate, I'll have to pull you out of the car. But Aaron stands firm. I'm not obstructing anything. You can't just pull anyone over based on assumptions. What's next? You're going to arrest every person who happens to drive a car that looks similar to one in an investigation. Aaron continues, you don't have the right to pull me over and detain me without any solid suspicion. You're infringing on my rights. The officer counters, trying to intimidate him. You're interfering with my investigation. Cooperating would help you. Aaron stays calm and makes an important point. No, that's how people lose their rights. If I give in now, you'll keep pushing further, and eventually we'll all lose our freedoms. You can't just stop and detain anyone without any actual reason. The officer, still not backing down, explains that they had some vague descriptions, including the fact that two individuals mentioned one of the suspects might be of African American descent. But Aaron cuts him off. Well, it's not me. I've done nothing wrong. I'm not going to identify myself just because you think I might fit a description. You're violating my rights. The officer insists that if Aaron's innocent, he should just identify himself, but Aaron disagrees. That's not how it works. If I do what you ask without cause, it's just one more way you can take away our rights. You can't just make accusations and force people to comply. The tension is palpable, but Aaron stands his ground. I'm not going to give up my rights just because you say so. I'm not afraid, and I'm not backing down. This was not just about one person being stopped. It was a larger issue of standing up against unlawful authority and protecting basic freedoms. In the end, Aaron's refusal to comply with an unjust demand for identification isn't just about him. It's about making sure that rights aren't easily taken away. And while the officer was pushing hard, Aaron kept his resolve, making sure that his constitutional rights weren't violated. The confrontation intensifies as the officer demands, "I need your ID." Aaron, still calm, refuses, "Absolutely not." The officer, visibly irritated, calls for backup. "Corporal, can you come over here?" He insists again. "Why are you not being cooperative?" Aaron responds firmly, "Because I don't have to be cooperative with your investigation." Despite this, the officers persist in trying to intimidate Aaron into complying. They claim he has to identify himself, but Aaron, holding his ground, disagrees, pointing out, "You are legally required to identify yourselves as public servants, but I am not obligated to identify myself without cause." The officer then attempts to explain the law, saying, "Colorado state law says you have to provide ID." Aaron presses, "Explain that law to me." The officer, flustered, stumbles over his words, offering vague responses. "Well, it's the law, you have to provide ID." Aaron cuts through the confusion, asking, "What part of the law says I must provide ID to you? I am not suspected of committing any crime." He continues, "You need to explain why I, as a person, am required to give my ID if you don't suspect me of anything." The officer, sensing his argument is weakening, demands again, "I need your ID now." Aaron refuses again. "No. I don't need to give it to you just because you say so. I'm not doing anything wrong." The officer, clearly frustrated, says, "I'm going to need to call backup," but Aaron remains calm. "Call whoever you want." "You have no reason to detain me," he responds. The officer continues, growing more aggressive, "I'm going to ask you one more time. Give me your ID." Aaron calmly answers, "No, I will not. If you want to arrest me for something, do it, but I'm not giving you my ID without a valid reason." The situation escalates as the officer refuses to provide his name or badge number when Aaron requests it, a clear violation of protocol. "What's your name and badge number?" Aaron asks. "I don't have to give you that," the officer retorts. "I'm not going to explain myself to you." Aaron stands firm, insisting, "You are a public servant, and I have a right to know who you are. What's your name and badge number?" The officer refuses again, and Aaron, growing more frustrated, decides to remain silent in the face of intimidation. "I'm going to exercise my Fifth Amendment right to remain silent. You're violating my rights." After 30 minutes of back and forth, the officers finally realize they're not going to get anything from Aaron. He is let go, but the officers suffer little consequence for their actions. The tension continues to rise with the next incident, where Virginia National Guard Lieutenant Caron Nazario is pulled over. On December 5, 2020, Lieutenant Nazario was stopped by Officer Joe Gutierrez and Officer Daniels. However, instead of stopping immediately, Lieutenant Nazario drove to a well-lit area, prioritizing his safety, which escalates the situation further. The officers, seeing his cautious actions as a threat, draw their weapons and begin to shout at him, "Put your hands out of the window. Turn off the vehicles." Lieutenant Nazario, clearly confused and frightened, responds, "Why are your weapons drawn? What's going on?" But the officers continue to shout commands at him, ordering him to exit the vehicle, despite having no clear reason to do so. Open the door slowly and step out. They demand, with one officer yelling, "Get out of the car now." Lieutenant Nazario remains calm, but it's clear he's shaken by the aggression he's facing. "I'm serving this country, and this is how I'm treated?" he asks, his voice tinged with disbelief. The officers continue to escalate the situation, disregarding his rights and treating him like a criminal despite no evidence of wrongdoing. The story continues to unfold as the officers fail to understand the severity of their actions and the violation of rights they're committing. Lieutenant Nazario, like Aaron, stands his ground, refusing to back down despite the officers' overreaction. "We'll talk to you, get out the car, you." Received an order, obey it. I'm honestly afraid to get out, can I? Yeah. You should be, get out, what's going on? What I do, get out now, I have not committed any crimes, you're being stopped for a traffic violence, you're not cooperating at this point right now. You're under arrest, you're being detained, okay, you're being detained for traffic violation. I do not have to get out the vehicle, you haven't even told me why I'm being stopped, really, get your hands. Get out of the car, now get out of the car, get your hands off me, get your hands off me, get your hands off me, your hands off me, I didn't do anything, don't do that, sir, get out the car, get out of the car, now do I'm trying
to talk to you, I'm trying to
talk, can you please relax, can you please relax out, get out of the car right now. This is not how you treat a vet, I'm actively serving this country, and this is how you going to treat me, I didn't do. Whoa, hold on, what's going, hold on, watch.
Watch.
ITC is
deployed, get out the
car, get out the car now, that's underscore up. That's underscore up, get out of the car now. Sir, just get out the car, I'm trying to. Brea, take your seat belt off and get out of the car, can you please get out of the
car now?
Look, listen, take off your seat belt and
get out of the
car. Look, I'm just going to, just please. You're going to do, get out of the car. Look, take your seat off and get out, take your seat off. Look, my hands are out, take your seat belt off, my hands are out, don't reach in there, my hands are out. Please, look, this is really messed up, my dog my dog, get chalk, get out of the car, take your seat belt off, what you a specialist corporate are you, I'm a lieutenant, get out of the car. Take your seat belt and get out of the car, you made way more than me, you just complied, get out of the car, I'm reaching for my seat belt, fine, take your seat belt off and get out of the car, straight on the ground, straight onto
the
ground, ma'am, is your commanding off. Let's go, is your command available, get on the ground, get on the ground, please get on the ground now, get on the ground, you're getting sprayed. Again, get on the ground, can you please talk to me about what's going, get on the ground, get on the ground now, can you please talk to me about what's going on? Can you please talk to me about what's going on, sir, you're not, can you please
talk to me about what's going
on, why am I being treated, why you're not sorry, underscore up, sorry, underscore up, you can. His underscore on up, lay on the ground, just L flat for me, sir. Lieutenant Nazario was sprayed twice and forced to the ground, with several kicks to his knees. This aggressive behavior from the cops was completely unwarranted, you know this is underscore up, sir, lay flat this is underscore up, I can't underscore believe being cheated like this, and a underscore on the ground, get on the ground right there, what's that is dumb, what the applause underscore I don't want to hem you up, I'm going to be straight up with you, you're a good man, you've made the lieutenant in the army, how hard was that? That wasn't an easy task, was it? No, it wasn't, and what would this do to your career? It would hurt it, and I'm in the middle of getting promoted right now anyway, so yet to what, captain or first lieutenant? To first lieutenant, okay, two ways we can handle this. We can either sit here with you and until you get your eyes back where you can see, and I mean at a good distance, your safety drive, okay, and you going down the road, go do your deployment, go continue serving my country, which I respect and I thank you for, okay, or we can push the issue, write you tickets for no a license plate display and for resisting, or not resis obstructive. Justice, I don't think we need to go that route because that route makes the army get involved, and I know how they are. After realizing how much damage he had caused, Officer Gutierrez then tried to reverse the situation, but it was already too late. He was fired 4 months later as a direct result of his terrible conduct during this interaction. If you enjoyed this video, let me know in the comment section and don't forget to subscribe.
Goodbye.